When we think of a university's origin, we picture ivy-covered monuments and grand dedication ceremonies. But the reality of building an institution usually involves a lot less marble and a lot more messy, improvised paperwork. Take the southern branch of the University of California. The governor signed the bill creating it on May 23, 1919, and the act legally took effect on July 24. But when opening day arrived on September 15th, there were no trumpets. The official announcement simply listed an 8:15 a.m. schedule of classes. As this map shows, it was an inherited 25-acre teacher training facility bordered by Vermont Avenue and Monroe Street. Adding the enrollment figures, you see the sheer volume entering this rebranded space: 1,213 female students alongside just 207 men. A piece of legislation doesn't summon a working college. That job fell entirely on the shoulders of those 1,420 individuals who walked onto an inherited campus and had to figure out what came next. That improvisation started before classes even began. The Southern Branch had no dormitories. Students navigated a massive regional transit network, commuting to campus daily on the area's red cars and yellow cars. Housing required an entirely different logistical puzzle. Helen E. Mathewson was appointed Counselor of Women, and while retrospective accounts mention strict approval rules for women's living arrangements, the contemporary records show no evidence of administrators actually conducting door-to-door boarding house inspections. The faculty were improvising their spaces too. By late 1919, female professors were holding their club meetings inside a leftover kindergarten bungalow inherited from the old normal school. Over the years, a campus legend developed that these academics sat on tiny children's chairs to conduct their meetings. The historical record doesn't support the furniture joke, but the documented reality stands on its own. Serious university business was being managed from inside a primary school classroom. Students and faculty alike were forcing a brand new academic identity into an ill-fitting physical infrastructure. 4 days before their first football game, the student body found a way to talk to each other. They launched a newspaper called the Cub Californian. Campus folklore insists the paper was produced in a cramped 8-by-10-foot office. The exact measurements are lost to history, but the contemporary reporter's actual complaint is much better. There were no chairs, and the room was so tight that the society editor and sports editor jostled elbows while standing. That first issue carried an editorial acknowledging exactly what they were doing. They wrote, "We are all starting college life together, in a new institution, with, as yet, undeveloped possibilities." Those possibilities were immediately tested on the football field. The new team scheduled its very first practice game against Manual Arts High School, an experienced squad chasing a league championship. This scoreboard visualization tracks the brutal result. The high schoolers routed the university team 74-0. But look at how the student paper handled the catastrophe. Instead of despair, the editorial page dryly noted, the team had 74 points worth of real experience. A collective identity takes shape when people learn to endure awkward failures together and find the shared survivalist humor in the wreckage. The campus was also navigating a much heavier reality. The year 1919 was defined by the immediate, complex aftermath of the First World War. That national recovery happened directly on the Vermont Avenue property. The federal government operated a vocational retraining program right alongside the standard curriculum. In October, the student paper highlighted a wounded veteran named Mr. Damascena, explicitly noting that he was one of the soldiers the government was sending to the university to transition back to civilian life. Amidst this serious work, organic student life kept bubbling up. That same month, a reader wrote into the paper with a simple request to liven up the cafeteria. Why not have music with our meals? How about a jazz band? They even acquired a dog. Later myths claimed a mascot at Lost, but the November paper paints a different picture. They introduced Rags, the shaggy, ragged school dog, describing him simply as a perfectly charming feature of our institution. He was already there. You cannot mandate a campus culture from an administrative office. It emerges from this exact kind of chaotic collision: national post-war realities, bottom-up student requests, and a stray dog wandering into the room. So look at the physical inventory of the Southern Branch in 1919. A fleet of streetcars, a repurposed kindergarten bungalow, jostling elbows, a 74-0 scoreboard, a veterans retraining program, and a shaggy dog. Today, students walk through a sprawling, pristine campus in Westwood, but none of those modern monuments existed for the first class. Year one was never the flawless execution of a master plan. It was a relentless, day-to-day scramble to make things work. A university is built by ordinary people who look at borrowed materials, shared losses, and empty rooms and decide to turn them into something lasting.